Hey, hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Nanyang Business School, Masters of Science Marketing Science, student sharing session. Okay, so I can see different one signing in right now. Yep. So just let's wait for a while so that more people can sign into the webinar before we start the student sharing session. Okay. Okay, that's good. So a very good evening to everybody. So my name is Regine. I'm from the Nanyang Business School Graduate Study Office. I oversee all the specialized master's program in terms of outreach and admissions. So joining here with me this evening is my colleague Li Shan. Some of you may know her especially if you interact with us through emails and other outreach events. And of course, here with me tonight, this evening is our current students from the Marketing Science program, as well as one special guest, Han Ting. She is our incoming student joining the program this year in August. So yeah, so for those of you who are, joining us this year, applying to this year intake, one classmate already. Okay, so just before I start, just let me share my screen. Just give me a moment. Can everybody see my screen? Yes. Okay, that's great. Okay, so so we will start our student sharing session this evening, and I'll be getting our current student and Han Ting as well to give a brief introduction of themselves, as well as why they choose to join the program in NTU, and for some of them who are and why they want to come to Singapore as well. Okay, so just let me go to our first student. So first here we have is Daniel. Daniel, would you like to give a brief introduction of yourself as well as a little bit of a background prior to joining the program?
Yeah, thanks, Regine. So good evening, everyone. I'm Daniel. I'm from the Philippines. My undergraduate was in BS Communications Technology Management in the Ateneo de Manila University. That was back in 2017. And I've worked for 3 years at an investing company in the Philippines doing corporate communications and sales. So it's a little different from marketing per se. It's somewhat related but different. So I decided to, because I wanted to facilitate a career shift into marketing, specifically into digital marketing. I decided to take up the program to really help jumpstart that.
Okay, thank you so much, Daniel. So Daniel joined us with a few years of work experience. So although a majority of our class, the student in the program, they are fresh graduates, we do have students with some years of work experience as well. Okay, thank you, Daniel. So next we have Rohan. Rohan, would you like to give an introduction as well as, your prior work experience?
Yeah, thanks, Regine. Hi, everyone. I'm Rohan. I'm from India. I did my undergrad in, it was a bachelor's of business administration with a major in marketing from India as well. Fourth Frontier was my first full-time role and only one. Prior to which I had a fair amount of internships. One was at Radisson Blu Hotel. One was at Sterling Perfumes Indore. And I essentially went to Dubai for that. I would have been a fresh graduate had I not deferred my admission. The only reason I have that 1 year is because I deferred my admission due to COVID. The reason I joined is, essentially, I've just been very clear about the fact that I want to pursue marketing as a career. The conflict in mind was, of course, a master's specialization versus an MBA, which I'm sure most of you also would have gone through. And it was just a matter of figuring out how close an MMS is to being equivalent to an MBA in terms of someone else's perspective. The MMS itself, the course, gives you a lot of insight into marketing in terms of other stuff like neuroscience as well. So you get to do the basic digital marketing stuff like Daniel mentioned. You get to do, you get to build the broad base in marketing itself, maybe in the first, second trimester. And by the third one, there's a lot of other marketing aspects as well that you're introduced to that you can use that other people have no idea how to. And I think that's the biggest advantage that the course offers.
Thank you so much, Rohan. Yeah, I think I think that's a very valid consideration. Many applicants are thinking, is it like a more broad-based MBA program, or is it a more specialized master's program in a certain discipline? So I think I think one key reason is really depends on your career goals and what you want to get out of the program. If you're very sure that going into, say, marketing is really what you want to do, it makes sense to deep dive into it. And an MBA program typically requires some years of work experience. So that's usually, where you are, going into a more management role. That's where, having an MBA program would really make sense as well, because there are a lot more modules on like leadership and things like that, more strategic modules inside. So it really depends on where you are in your career as well, whether to choose an MBA or a specialized master's. But thank you so much for sharing, Rohan. Yes. Okay, next we have is Iran. Iran, over to you.
Hi, I'm Iran from China, and I'm from Shanghai. In my previous study, I majored in journalism of Sichuan University, and I joined NTU as a fresh student. After graduation in July of this year, I will work as an integrated marketing specialist in Alibaba. I think NTU really provides me good opportunity to further my study, get a good job opportunity. I really appreciate that. And I think Singapore is a really suitable city for studying abroad. And Nanyang Technological University is a good school for us to focus and study, and it provides you a good platform to chase what you want. And here I met a lot of excellent students from top schools all around school. And I really love professors here. I think I have gained a lot from studying with them. So I really encourage all the students, come to Singapore, come to NTU. Thank you.
Thank you. As you can tell, Iran is a huge fan of NTU. Yeah, I mean, I could see she has really enjoyed her. I think they just finished their 2 trimester. They're going to start their 3rd trimester, the final one, in March. So I think even then she already secured a job after her graduation already. Congratulations, Iran, and thank you for sharing. What you like about the program. Okay, and finally, we have Hanting. She's joining us in our this year intake, so she has not gone through the program yet. But let's hear from Hanting about a little bit about her. Over to you, Hanting.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Han Ting. I come from China, and now I am an incoming student for the Marketing Science program. I pursued an undergraduate degree in journalism at Nanjing University in China, and now I'm ready to join the MMS family. I choose this program mainly because of its curriculum. I think the courses perfectly matches my future ambition, and I think they are also friendly to those who are new to the field of marketing, just like me. And also, I think the class size of this program and also its location are both perfect for me. And I will share more details about my application process and admission interview later with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hanting. I hope that after hearing all from your seniors, you'll be more excited than ever to join us this year in August. Yeah. Yeah, so thank you so much, Hanting. So I think we have prepared some questions for each of our students as well as Hanting, to share about various aspects of the program. So maybe let me start with Daniel. Yeah, so Daniel, like you mentioned, you joined us after working for a few years. Could you share with us how do you envision the marketing science program, how it will complement your work experience, and where do you see it helping you in your future career?
Yeah, definitely. So as I mentioned earlier, my idea for the program was to help kickstart a career shift into a very specific field of marketing, which is digital marketing. To that degree, the program, I think, has at least sharpened existing knowledge on marketing. But I think the real game changer here is that it exposes like not just me but everybody else also to different aspects of marketing that would otherwise just be very difficult to build on your own. So things like marketing analytics, AI come to mind, because otherwise those are very new and upcoming fields in marketing where unless you really did get a specialized degree, or unless you work as an executive for a very future forward company, those are very hard to come by. And I think that's also where the future of marketing is headed. So to be able to ride that wave would definitely be beneficial on top of any existing work experience that I've already built so far.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing with us. Where do you see this program as helping you to progress in your next career goals that you have set for yourself? Thank you so much. So next, actually, I want to ask is Iran. I think many, of applicants, what they're curious is, what is the workload like for as a student in the program? Are you able to share what is a typical day like for MMS student?
Usually we have a 13 weeks trimester, during which our study actually is a little intense. We usually have a class on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the rest day we need to do group work, research, field research, and also a lot of personal assignment. And during this time, our study is usually half days, and we also need to do group discussion. By the way, after all the study at days, I usually spend like 2 hours working out at school every day. I feel a Singaporean really like to work out and just feel after a day of study, I can have a good rest and prepare to join them. Yeah, but I think everything is well designed and it's totally can be easily taken. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So for those of you who are curious about our curriculum, so our 1-year program has 3 trimesters. Each trimester, students have to do 4 modules. So like Iran said, you don't really have classes every day because maximum is 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So there are some days that could have 2 lessons or something like that. But every year the schedule change. So I can't tell you what is your schedule going to be like. It's going to be different from Iran. And I think it's good that she manages to have a good work-life balance in the sense, study life balance. She study hard, and then she's able to have time for herself to unwind after studying, go for exercising and all that. I think that's great. Thank you, Iran, for sharing that with our audience. Yeah. So I have a question for Rohan. So before you joined the program, you started working. So how was the transition like for you? From working to studying full time? Was it like a steep curve for you, or
Not as much as it would have been with other courses. I think the best part about the course at NTU is that there's so much time for yourself, right? Like Iran mentioned that classes are thrice a week, and then you have group work. And depending on how you work, you either do it right at the end when you're panicking, or you do like a little bit by bit. But just in terms of that, the transition wasn't very hard. In fact, I think it supported a lot of my education through. Just that, for example, once you start working, you get used to automatically using calendars, right? It's a very simple example, but it just becomes habit. And now my Google Calendar is, for example, it has stuff from college, stuff from my part-time work, stuff from my other part-time work. And it's just a nice little chunk. And even then, I'm still, getting time for myself to go out, etc. Daniel's with me once a week whenever we go out. But yeah, I think it's just been more of a support rather than an issue of transitioning from one to the other.
Okay, that's good. How about living in Singapore? Was it tough for you, to adapt to living, to the culture or the living style or the weather in Singapore?
Not so much. I traveled to Singapore about 3-4 years ago. I was there as a tourist, traveled with my parents, in fact. When I did move in, the first month definitely did take some time getting used to in terms of how organized the country is in general. Because there's one particular way to go about everything. But once you get used to it, you realize how everything actually makes sense and fits together, right? The public transport is fantastic. The weather is fine, you get used to it. For those that don't know what I'm referring to, it's an average of say 31 degrees throughout the year with rain whenever it wants. But again, you start enjoying it because, like I said, you get used to it within the first month of moving in. I personally live off campus, which gives me more opportunities to essentially explore the city more. But again, I'm not that far from college either, so it's not very inconvenient.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think, yeah, a lot of people are wondering what is it like, transiting, working and studying, as well as adapting. But I'm glad to hear that you managed to adapt pretty well after 1 month here in Singapore, including the weather and the way we do things. It may come to a shock to some people. I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe now I'll ask Han Ting. So I'm sure you must have taught a lot. You probably will have a lot of offers as well. So what made you finally decided to take up the offer from NTU?
I think as for me, there are 3 key factors for choosing NTU. The first is the curriculum, as I have mentioned before. I think as I am new to I'm transferring my major from journalism to marketing, and I think it's better if the courses can cover this marketing series and the pragmatic tours at the same time. And actually, I compared this program with the MAI program of NUS, and I found that program has an overarching focus on data analysis, and that is not suitable for me. So I applied to NTU. And also, I think the class size of this program is better. For example, in Hong Kong University, there are over 300 students. So I think in that kind of big program, I cannot fully interact with my professors and my classmates. And the last reason is the location. I think Singapore is extremely safe and is a multicultural environment. And also here there is a lot of Chinese culture. So I will not find it difficult to adapt to the environment. So that's my reasons.
Okay, thank you, Han Ting. Yeah, I guess, our class size is only about 40 to 50 students. So definitely much smaller than many programs. So you definitely have the chance to get to know your classmate as well as the professor teaching the program much better. I think, I think from Han Ting answers, you can see that she has done a lot of research from different universities in Singapore and Hong Kong. And thank you so much for choosing NTU Marketing Science program. So maybe I'll ask Yiran, since you're also Chinese, right? So how was the adaptation process for you when you first, arrived into Singapore? Was there anything that shocked you, or you were pleasantly surprised by it?
I think when I just arrived, I'm super surprised that everything is not that big difference to China. I feel it's really easily to adapt myself. When I just arrived there, my English is really bad. So really bad. So when I just arrived, I just asked them, "Can you speak Chinese?" But I feel that everyone can really speak a lot, and they can help you to getting better about your Chinese. And I feel the food, the environment, atmosphere, everything is quite nice. I still strongly recommend.
Thank you, Yiran. I guess she is too humble. I'm sure her English is not that terrible as she is probably just a little bit shy and self-conscious about it in the beginning. But I think after immersing for a few weeks and months, I think you are used to it, because I guess although the major race in Singapore is Chinese, most people do understand Chinese. But in terms of on campus lectures and road signs and everything, even food court, everything is in English usually. So
yeah.
Yes. So I guess that's something that is slightly different. But I'm glad that to hear that you get used to it very quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, I would like to add to Iran's conversation. So Singapore is a very multicultural country. So students who are coming internationally, you don't have to worry. We have places like Little India for our Indian students to get accustomed to first, and maybe like malls like Lucky Plaza. If let's say Daniel is very looking forward to all the Filipino food, and then for like Iran and hunting, especially you that you're incoming student, don't worry, you can still look at Chinatown, and we have a lot of cuisines. So Rohan and Daniel, I'm sure that you have tried some Chinese cuisines also when you're in Singapore, right? And I'm sure that hunting, when you're here, you can also try other nationality foods here. So we are very multiculturally diverse. So incoming students, you don't have to worry. Even prospects, next time if you're considering NTU and Singapore, please put in your head that we are very diverse, so you don't have to feel pressured by anything. Everybody down here is very welcoming, and we welcome you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually, Lishan, thanks for adding that. In fact, you don't have to travel to Little India or Chinatown for all this food. You can get it all in campus, actually. We have Indian food. We probably may not have Filipino food, I think, but we have Western food. We have Thai food. We have Japanese food. We have Korean. We have fast food, definitely. And we have mala jiangpo as well. Don't worry. That's one question I get asked many times. Is there mala jiangpo in Singapore? I say yes, a lot. Yeah, so definitely not to worry. Okay, so I think next question I have is regarding our graduate study career development office. So to our audience here, Nanyang Business School is supported by Graduate Study Career Development Office. In short, we call it GSCDO. So they are a dedicated careers office helping each and every of our master student in terms of their careers, aspiration, and all that. So maybe I'll get Rohan to share. How was your experience like with the GSCDO?
Right. I think they've been fantastic throughout, and I still have 4 months to go. So there's a lot to look forward to. It's essentially started off with the more basic stuff like tweaking my resume, figuring out how to make a CV, because every person's different, every person's career is different, the professional experience is different. So it's all a matter of putting into paper in one page, which again is a very important rule, as to what your strengths are and what facts you want to accentuate. So they put into perspective, for example, you need to make a resume from the perspective of the employer and not from your perspective, because what you may think is important may not be as important to someone else. So it's like little things like that you don't really think of before someone actually tells you. Apart from that, we did have a few career coaches come on board as well. And they were veterans in their respective fields. The career coach I had was in the finance industry for about 25 years, but he was at HSBC at a very high level. So he had a broad understanding of how the sector worked in general. He was able to offer a lot of perspective into how the real life world works, right? And then it's all a matter of putting together what GSCDO has told you and then what the real life career coach has told you, and then bringing them together and figuring out what you want to put into picture. Apart from that, there are a lot of career fairs. There was one very recently that got over, I think 2 days ago. There was one back in October, November or so. And there was also one, I think, specifically for Chinese students, just I think a week ago or so as well. So there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of help. It's like if you're in the gym and you're doing deadlifts, the GSCDO is right there behind you, making sure everything's okay and you're picking it up nicely. And that's basically what it is. It's more of a secondary support because, of course, most of it does go to you, but they do everything they can. I think that's the best way to put it.
Thank you so much, Rohan, for sharing. I think, Rohan has mentioned, our students have access to career coaches, and we are one of the very few business school that provides that. So actually, it is not like even a shared career coaches to a lot of people. You get a one-to-one access to them. So that's a very unique part about our career support that we offer to all our students. And maybe I'd like to hear from Daniel. How was your experience like with the GSCDO? Did you approach them for any support?
So they were very helpful, I think, in just ironing out like details regarding internships. So mostly really just like what you can and can't do. So to those that would be interested in taking an internship for, during the trimester, usually there are 2 days off. You can allot those days to do an internship, and during which also you have a maximum of 16 hours to work. And yeah, so GSCDO and like for what I was doing was more just helpful in ironing out what I can and can't do, and just also helping with the opportunities in general, because more often than not, GSCDO does also get first picking for a lot of internship opportunities. So basically, even weekly, you'll receive emails for very interesting jobs. So it's really just up to you to kind of take that opportunity.
That's right. So GSCDO actually has a job portal called Career Feed, where they post like internship opportunities and full-time employment opportunities. So students can actually access and apply to all these job openings. Yeah, and I know, Daniel, you have actually, you're actually doing an internship right now. So could you share what it, was it helpful? I mean, were you able to, apply what you have learned in the program to the internship that you're currently doing?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm interning right now with 99Co. They are the second largest real estate portal in Singapore. And my role specifically is search engine optimization. It's a very specific role within digital marketing. So half of the job, I'm doing very technical stuff that is covered somewhat in the program, but it's a little outside scope, where doing things like I'm diagnosing the website's architecture to find problem areas, or I'm learning actually how to programming languages so that I can automate tasks. But where the program has been helpful is really on the content side, which is about half of what I'm working on also. So we learn things in the program, like especially relating to consumer behavior from modules like neuroscience and consumer psychology. And even just digital marketing also just helps you sharpen basically what knowledge of that specific channel, and it's very helpful in terms of at least just applying that to at least write content that keeping in mind that how does this better suit the audience, and how can we be more effective at doing this.
Hey, that sounds great. Like you're able to apply. I think one of the what we aim in the program is really hands-on approach, and so that our students are able to apply what they have learned into real world, because we prepare our students for the workplace. So it's important that they're able to translate what they have learned into the workplace. So I think that's something that we when the academic directors develops the curriculum, that's what they really look at as well. Which is why I think in some of the subjects you actually get to work with a real life organization or companies, on some of the problems or challenges that they're facing. Yeah. Iran, could you share? I understand that in the strategic marketing module, you guys actually get to work with a real organization. How is it like?
Work with a real organization?
As in, I understand, is it strategic marketing that you get to work with Shiseido? Is it?
Oh, yes. In strategic marketing, that program, we are asked to develop our project for Shiseido, and we provide the marketing strategy for them. I think it's a really good opportunity that we really step in the real practical world, and we really provide them good cases for themselves. Also, I think I like this program. I really like this program last trimester, and we also use simulation platform as a team, so we can simulate the operation of our company. And in this system, we can operate our marketing strategy, and we make correct decision, just like a real marketer. For example, we design new markets, new products, and we adjust the product strategy, and we select the target consumer groups. So we compete with other groups in the class. So which strategy is the best? I think both the Shiseido object and the simulation platform is a really good opportunity for us to practice all the things. And I also think the Professor Lewis had really taught us a lot. He like introduced on class the knowledge of consumer psychology and marketing strategy, and his class is really worth attending. He really taught us to be strong in our like decision, like make your decision wisely and trust yourself and trust your teammates. I think it's really worth to attend this class.
Yeah. Yeah, this course has been a favorite of her since the first year we have this. I've been hearing a strategic marketing course being like one of their most favorite subject. Yes, for a long time. Every year we have students singing the praises of the module. And I think it's a good way to really apply what you have learned, and in a very safe environment as well, because if you make a wrong decision in a real life, you're gonna be,
lose your job.
I mean, I'm not sure about losing a job. You probably you feel terrible about it, right? But in a module like this, you're able to, you can afford to kind of like make the mistake, and you can learn from your other groups that, oh, that's what they do. Maybe next time you can adopt this strategy instead. So it's a very safe environment for you to learn as well. So I think that's great. Yeah. I think after, all the sharing for our students, I think a lot of people may be wondering, how do I get into this program now? So let me, turn the attention to Hanting to share, your tips. How did you, prepare for your application? And how was your, like, even, the admission interview like? So Hanting, over to you.
Okay, thank you. First, about my application process. Before I prepared all my documents, I took a very close look at this program, and I have many information sources like the official websites, the social media, or my schoolmates who had already been in this program. And I think I'm lucky because all of my schoolmates and the students I met on the internet, they were all willing to share their feelings, their opinions about this program with me. So they provided me with a lot of useful suggestions. And then I prepared my documents like my resume and motivation letter. I treat all of these documents like the real documents for job seeking purpose, and I turned to my boss in TikTok for help, and she offered me a lot of valuable suggestions to reconstruct the whole document from a more professional angle, and to make sure that they can show my ability and potential. And about my admission interview, to prepare for this interview, I practiced the mock interviews with many of my friends who are also applying for this program, and we helped each other, and I think that really helped a lot. And I think the interview was really condensed because I answered 7 questions in only 15 minutes, and the interview was also multidimensional because the questions covered my internships, my career path, my motivation of transferring my major to marketing, and a lot of topics. And the last point is that I think is very, very, very professional and detailed. For example, when the professor asked about my internships, they not only focused on my achievements, they focused more on my insights and my thinking pattern in my internships. And I think all the professors were all very friendly, and they answered my questions with great patience. So I think it was a nice talk. That's all.
Thank you, Hanting. Well, thank you. Hanting has give a comprehensive, breakdown on how she prepared for her interview, and I think she really done a great job. She's doing it very seriously. She really gathered information from all different channels. She practices it. I think that's great, and I think it's good to get feedback because sometimes when we are doing essays over and over again, we are sometimes like blind to what we can read. So it's always good to get a third party, like in Hanting's case, she got her internship supervisor at TikTok, I think, was that who you mentioned, to help her to give her opinion. I think that's great because you need somebody trusted whom you can trust to give their opinion to vet through. I think that's great. And I think the way that she practices her mock interviews with with her classmates, with her friends. That's a very good way as well. Because even in GSCDO, when you approach them for sometimes for help, when you're going for a certain job interview, they also conduct mock interviews with you. So it is definitely a very good way to learn and to practice. But I think I always give advice to applicants is that kind of you can practice, but don't memorize your answers too much, because they will come across as a little bit unnatural sometimes. So it's good to practice and make it natural, but don't memorize word for word. That's where, when you miss out a sentence, you'll be like stuck. You are not sure what to say after that. So that's like you memorize. So best don't over memorize.
Heading on to Regine's answer. Okay, so professors are usually very quick-eyed. They know when are you looking and referring to answers, because you also must remember when you are going into marketing, you're all about creative, you're all about communication. So the interviewers also want to see how adept you are, how communicative you are, and how can you put your ideas into words. So that's why it's good to prepare like Hunting. Thankful for your friends that actually helped you along the way. Yeah, I believe that all our panelists today, all of them had help with friends, with family. They did it themselves. Yeah, so all of you have to remember that it's good to practice, but don't memorize, because the interviewers will be able to see it. Yeah.
Yes, and also because interview is part of it is to see how you think on your feet, right? Yes, so definitely that will help. So because if you are memorizing your answer, you tend to answer off tangent. You are not answering to the interviewer's questions. That's where the interviewer will see that that you actually don't understand the question. That's why you're answering like off tangent. So this is something that we notice as well. Another thing that I would advise is to always look through what you have submitted in your application prior to the interview, because many times the interviewers will actually pick off what you've submitted, like your essay questions, your internship, or your resumes, information that you have, and you ask questions of those things. So, there are times where they ask questions about certain aspect of the essays, and applicants are like shocked. So they don't remember what they have written. So that's not very good. So always take a good look, because you can forget, and especially in time of an interview, you get a little bit nervous for some of us. So that's where you forget even more things. Yeah, I think that's a very helpful tip set and sharing from our student and Hunting. So right now, we want to go into the question and answer segment. Yeah, so for all the audience here, I see that you guys have already been putting questions onto the Q&A chat. Keep them coming. We'll get to that. Okay, so just let me look at the questions. Okay, so this question is from Grace. So do students typically have time for internship during the trimester? So since I think Daniel is doing an internship, Daniel, could you help us to answer this question, please?
So there definitely is time during the trimester to do an internship, but anyway, at the end of the day, you only really have 2 days that you're allowed to dedicate, and so far, yeah, there since class is usually Monday to Wednesday, then you have Thursday and Friday off technically, then you can do your internships. There will also be changes in schedule every now and then, so it's kind of important to also just make sure that your employer is aware that like you will also have to work a little more sporadically if changes to your schedule do happen, because that does happen.
Yeah. Actually, I just want to highlight that for Daniel's case, because he's an international student holding a student pass, student visa, which is why he's restricted to 16 hours per week during the school term. So if you are Singaporean or you are residents of Singapore, you actually can intern full-time. That's not a problem. There's no such restriction. And of course, so for our program, after you finish your coursework, there is also the option of a internship module. So if you go on to take the optional internship module, you can actually work full-time. So you are not restricted, even you're an international student, for the 16 hours per week, because that module is catered for international students to actually hold a full-time internship. So that's the difference. So during term time and the optional internship module, that's the difference. Yeah.
You also need to see time management. If you have to see like how can you organize your time, whether you can adapt. If not, if you find that you cannot do work during when you're studying, then maybe you can go for the internship the last trimester. So you have to work out your own time also. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next question is actually for Rohan. So Rohan had mentioned about neuromarketing. How many units of that subject offered to the student, and what aspects of neuromarketing are discussed? Are they practical lessons, or they are mostly lessons on theories? So, okay, I'm not sure about what he meant by how many units of the subjects are offered. So it is a core module for the marketing science program. So everybody takes that subject, but maybe Rohan can elaborate more about the aspects of marketing, neuromarketing that's being taught.
Yeah. So in terms of what aspects of neuromarketing, it's more about what are the tools that neuromarketing and neuromarketers use to gain further insights. To put it briefly, neuromarketing is also a type of market research, right? You use it to figure out what consumers want or what they think they want, but don't know they want yet. And that's what you're essentially getting into. You try to get into what their subconscious wants and how you can tweak that into your marketing strategies. So there's stuff like eye tracking, there's EEG, there's fMRI, which tracks the blood flow in your brain and figures out if you like what you see or don't like what you see. And it's basically stuff like that. In terms of practical lessons, there are practical lessons. I remember a module where our professor actually got the eye tracking device into class, and she had us watch an advertisement. And at the end of the trimester, just about a week and a half ago, she sent us an email saying, these are the results for your eye tracking, so and this is what it's shown you, etc. That was quite fun to see. In terms mostly on theories, I would disagree. It's not mostly on theories. It's a very healthy balance. But again, it is just to not falsify your expectations. It is going to be a lot of understanding as to how one particular tool gives you insights and how you can use those insights eventually, right? So the massive amount of neuromarketing experience you will get is if you actually work at a neuromarketing firm, which has the resources to conduct those insights, because neuromarketing is actually a very expensive marketing domain. But I hope that answers your question. It's not mostly on theories. There is a balance. There are practical aspects to it. You essentially figure out exactly what you need to do. And it's personally my favorite module of the second trimester. So good luck. I hope that answers.
Okay, thank you, Rohan. I think we picked the right person. He picked the right person to answer that question. Yeah, I think I myself understand more about what you guys learn in the neuromarketing module as well. Thank you. So the next question is asking, are there a lot of group projects or more individual work? Maybe Iran, would you help with this question?
I feel each module have an individual work, but each module may have like several group projects. We have to work together, like 3-4 weeks we have a group project together. Yeah, and as a final in the final season, I don't know, in the end of the trimester, we will submit our individual reflection work. Yeah, so it's yeah.
So I think what Iran is saying is that there's a mixture. So there are group works, there's also individual assignments. So I guess it's a good balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to add on to it, right? Okay, in the real world when you're working, so Nanyang Business School, generally every business school is preparing you also for to go into the real world, and there's always a lot of collaborative work. In work, there's no such thing as you work as a one person. Okay, every day in your work, there might be things that you need to collaborate with other your colleagues. So what business schools and what MBS does is there's a good balance. So not only will you learn things on your own, you will get to learn with other classmates and get to know them better. So this is how curriculums work in general for master's program in business.
Yeah, so I think I think Lishan is very right. I mean in work, it's hardly any work that is really like an individual contributor. You have to work as a team, collaborate with internal and external stakeholders. So this is a good way to get used to working with people from different backgrounds, because now our workplace can be very global as well. Yeah, and of course, in a master's program, we don't just learn from the faculty as well. I think peer-to-peer learning is something that is also something that we like to, students to be able to learn from their peers as well, because different ones come from different background, experience, so they're able to bring something different into the classroom discussion. Yeah. Okay, I hope that's answered you. And okay, there's a question. Would you advise this program for marketer or communication practitioner in the development sector? Daniel, would you like to answer this since you're from a communication background?
Yeah, so I would actually say yes, this is quite apt for anybody with a communications background, because it does sharpen communications in general. Is just a very theory-based major, I think. And apart from maybe advertising and media, there's not as much like managerial experience that you can, tackle with. So this program actually gives you that dimension. So if that's actually an area where you really want to accelerate in, then there is actually a lot of potential for you with this program actually.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to think that what you have learned in the program is you can apply to a different industry and sector. So it's not like we specifically teach you things for B2C also. You are able to apply it into different settings, different industry as well. So yeah. So thank you for that questions. So we have another question. What type of marketing technologies are being taught? Okay, Rohan, I'm not sure if you are able to answer this, because I think some of the more technology modules are being taught in the trimester 3, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
I can give a brief as to what we've already done. So in trimester 1, Google Analytics was done. Right. In trimester 2, in terms of ethnography, we got introduced to this software called Max QDA, which essentially helps you code insights and convert qualitative into quantitative, and then figure out where the majority of the mindset is. So we've had these two. We've also, our simulation as well for strategic marketing that Yiran was mentioning, that was also fairly MarTech. There were a few as well. I think not in terms of technologies, but in terms of even in the middle of the finance module, though we didn't get to use it, we did get to see what Prof was using, right? So if I say, let's say Tally or Tableau are now obsolete, you could see the updated version of them in terms of what they're using. But of course, that doesn't apply to our course, because even our finance module, for that matter, is not super finance. It's just a broad understanding of what finance is and how you can feed that into marketing. But yeah, there's a fair amount of MarTech. I think next trimester we have AI that's going to come in, and that's, I think, going to have a lot of MarTech. We're already excited for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest one. I think is the next trimester, the AI and the robotics and all that. Yeah. So, but to answer your question, I think MarTech it's kind of like infused in every different modules that our students are studying. So it's not like a specific module sometimes, but little parts of it are inside. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rohan. Yeah. Okay, next we have this question is directed for Yiran. So Rachita would like to ask you, how was it for you, shifting from journalism to marketing? Because she herself studied journalism and mass comm, and looking, to do a master's in marketing. So she'd like to hear your experience.
Yeah, I think journalism and mass communication are both part of marketing. I think marketing is a more big range. So as a marketer, we need to use better strategy to use communication. Similarly, we learn consumer psychology in marketing, and better understanding how the consumers think, so we can communicate in marketing more accurately and move our consumer. So I think communicating or communication journalism is just a method of marketing. So I think the relationship between communication and marketing is really close, which also why I think the background of communication will lay a good foundation for the study of marketing. As far as my own experience, I started work as an intern of new media communication in CCTV, and based that experience, gradually I worked as a marketing intern in FMCG and tech company. I think this shift is relatively smooth. So I wish you good luck.
Yeah, so I think what Iran, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you mentioned journalism communication is like a subset of a very broad marketing.
Yeah.
So it is like a tool in marketing and how you use words and communication methods to communicate better to your consumers and your target audience. So it's all very complementary in some sense as well. Yeah. Okay, I hope this answer your question, Rachita, that it is, the transition is not tough at all. It's very intuitive. It's, yeah. Okay. Okay, next question is we have from Shu Chai. So Shu Chai is asking, what is special in the marketing program and which career path, our MMS students pursue? Okay, what is special about this program? Maybe let me put in my perspective, and our student can help into add on if they feel like they need to. So I think one thing about our curriculum at the marketing science program is it is a very forward thinking as well as very different from a lot of marketing programs out there. So our curriculum design has 3 areas of focus, which is in marketing, in consumer insights, as well as the marketing technologies. And students get to expose themselves to very innovative modules, like some of them they have mentioned, like neuromarketing, ethnography, and then next trimester they're going to learn about AR, VR, AI, and robotics and all that in marketing. So I think the curriculum itself is very different. And what are the career paths? So I think Iran has mentioned she's got a job in a tech company in integrated marketing. Yes, and I think they are from our graduates. We have students. I think most of them, the top industry is also, I think, e-commerce tech companies. We have students in FMCG, the second, most popular industry that they go into FMCG in branding, in product management. And I think we also have some, they are in more like in agency as well, but there's a smaller group of students. Yeah, so maybe our students, feel free to, add on to what I've answered about what's so special about this program. Who would like to go first? Okay, maybe Daniel.
I think, Regine, you've already covered basically everything, but yeah, that was my main consideration actually when choosing the program, because I think there was very little to go by with other business schools in terms of differentiating. So, and at that point, it became really a question of like where. But with NTU, it was very clear to me, like even from just looking at the program like broadly, that this is something that's going to teach me something very different. And I think it's, again, I think I'll just align with my goals very well in terms of gaining exposure to things that I otherwise would not be able to.
Anyone else have more to add on?
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think the biggest advantage is that though this is a specialized marketing course, it does not narrow down the opportunities that you have, because you're still eligible to get into any kind of a marketing role in any kind of an organization because you know how everything works. And just to combine this with another question, I think there's one later that asks about a master's in marketing analytics. So if you look at a master's in marketing analytics, it is a specialized master's like ours, but it pushes you solely towards analytics and how you can crunch numbers, right? And once you do that, and once you get into that focus, you lose the bigger picture of what kind of strategies I can use, how I can essentially build a B2B business, for example. Because all you're doing is crunching numbers and figuring out how those numbers feed into things. But that you kind of lose the broader, bigger picture in terms of this specialized masters. But if you look at the MMS course, the way it's designed, it's still fairly broad while giving you that narrow perspective that you need to set yourself apart from, say, everyone else?
Yeah, so this program is quite comprehensive. So like Rohan mentioned, it is not steered to a particular direction, but more give you a very good overview of what today's marketers need to know about, the entire marketing spectrum. So that helps you to be able to apply, to quite a wide range of marketing jobs out there. Yeah, thank you so much, Rohan and Daniel. So, okay, so the next question is this from Hetia. So, Hetia has a question for Daniel, actually. So she mentioned that she has been working for 3 years and thinking about changes. And so, okay, so the first one is that when you were thinking about joining NTU, was there a specific thing in your work that motivate you to do a career change? Why do you choose the marketing science program to make the change? The second one is, do you think your work experience helped your application and studying? So I think Daniel has answered some part of it already.
I've answered some part of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's a bit of a loaded question. So, well, since I came from a communications and sales background, it's somewhat related to marketing, but not exactly. And I just discovered that over the 3 years that I was doing it, that it's just not for me. It was a mixed role, albeit. And along the way, I kind of just ran into digital marketing and found it to really just be interesting. And I thought that it would be like something that I could really see a good future in. So when looking for a program, I just thought, okay, what can I, what will actually align best with this? And like, again, as I mentioned earlier, when comparing with other business schools, there wasn't really as much for me to differentiate in terms of aligning with that goal. But when I came across the MMS program specifically, I immediately thought, yeah, this is, I think this is going to be the right fit. And yeah, so I chose the program specifically because it aligns well with my goal of transitioning into digital marketing. But did my work experience help with my application? I think so, yes, because in general, also it just gives you a certain, it teaches you really how to manage your time. I think that's one thing, and it just grounds your experience. So sometimes I'm retroactively learning. So what would happen is they teach something in class, and then like when I reflect on a previous experience, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's why. Or, oh, okay, I could have done this better, like if I did this instead. So if it's not just like, proactively learning, it's also learning from hindsight, like in a more nuanced way.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing. So I think yeah, so I think definitely all your experience that you have prior, whether you're a fresh graduate or you're working a few years, I think they will all shape you as to who you are and what you can bring to the classroom. So they will definitely help in one way or another, because each of you is a unique, applicants. So I'm very conscious of the time, and I'm just going to merge the last few questions into one that I'm going to answer. Yes. So I see some question about, internship, GMAT, GRE, and all that. So let me just answer that. So internship is not part of the curriculum. So like I mentioned, there is an optional internship module at the end of the coursework. So our trimester 1 next year will start in August, and it will end all the way until end May the following year. That's where you finish your 3 trimester of coursework. So at end May in the following year, you can either choose to graduate, or you can choose to do the optional internship. If you choose to do the optional internship, you actually delay your graduation by about half a year. So essentially, your program is like a 1.5 years program instead of a 1 year program. So that is what it is. So you don't have to make the choice about whether you want to do the internship module right now when you apply, or even at the start of trimester. I think you only need to decide at trimester 3, because we do know that plans change. You may get a job like Iran, you want to graduate straight away, you don't want to do internship, or you may still want to figure out and try out different things. So you may want to do the internship module. So we leave that choice to you based on your, you know best what is best for you. Okay, and about the Gre Gmat score. So this score is not a compulsory component of the application. So, but if you do have a competitive score, you can submit that. So, but if you don't have the score, that's all right as well. You can still apply to the program. Yeah, so I would like to say that majority of our applicants do not have a Gmat or Gre score, but a good number of them do have. Yeah, so that's what I would like to answer. And then another question, last question is the classes, when are they held? Because it's a full-time program, most of the classes are actually held during weekdays in the daytime. So very rarely, maybe evening, like, like big up classes for public holidays or something, but very rare. Yeah. So I think I answered everyone, I hope. Yeah. And thank you so much for joining the session. And before we end, I just want to ask each of our lovely students here to, to give, to sum up their program experience in one sentence. And for Hunting, because she can't, say that yet, she maybe can do that next year. But maybe she can give one most important advice to incoming student who wants to apply to the program. How about that? So maybe we start with Hunting first. What is your one advice?
I think my advice is that you should not hesitate. You should submit your application as soon as possible and grasp the opportunity.
Thank you, Hunting. That's right. Don't just put in your application. Okay, so maybe Iran, would you give your how do you sum up your experience in a sentence?
Maybe boldly reach out to the new world.
Boldly reach out to a new word. Thank you so much. And okay, over to Rohan. How would you sum up your experience so far?
I think I'd say extremely balanced in terms of getting time for college, getting time to work, getting time to go out, etc. And I think it's just a whole overall nice postgrad experience in general.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. It's a very balanced program. Okay, finally, Daniel.
Yeah, so I'd probably also say the same thing as Rohan. It's balanced, but it's also a game changer, really, because again, you are exposing yourself to something completely new and completely cutting edge. So I think that's also what sets you apart, also when you start to apply for jobs later on.
Yeah, so it's balance and also game changer. Wow, these are really good communications. These guys are really marketers. They're very skilled at giving out all these very good words that I will use it next time. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this evening. We really hope that the student sharing is helpful to everybody. And Rohan has very kindly posted his LinkedIn on the chat. So if you want to connect with him and, ask him even more questions, you know what to do. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Oh, sorry. Before I forgot, actually, I just wanted to, share my screen again. If you would like to follow us on our social media, you can do that. We are on LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as WeChat. So, do follow us on our social media to be notified of future events or to connect with us to hear what Nanyang Business School have to share. So thank you once again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.